In some cases, Israel has been able to help those Israelis who were suddenly trapped behind closed borders. That was the case with around 1,000 young adults who traveled to Peru and some to Brazil following the completion of their army service. They finally made their way back Friday on flights donated by Israeli carrier El Al. And one of the men who helped bring them back joins us now in studio. Itzik Garber is the chief pilot for El Al. Mr. Garber, thank you very much for joining us for this. It was a remarkable story. We saw the images on Friday, those young Israelis so happy to be back. It was really one of the very few countries who did such an extensive effort to bring its own citizens back home. Tell us about the journey for you.
Well, it was a very special journey. I'm flying for 35 years, but this journey, it came up very quickly after the donation of some companies that allowed this operation take place. So 4 aircraft were flying for 16.5 hours one way and then 15.5 hours back. And this is with 4 hours on ground, altogether about 39 to 40 hours of working. So this was the longest flight, and I say was because tomorrow El Al is flying to Perth, Australia, and going to break this record for about 45 hours to bring passengers from there as well.
So aside from the extremely long hours, all the preparation that an operation like this entails, of course, there's the danger of catching something. These are countries where the COVID-19 outbreak is at a remarkable or dramatic point. What kind of precautions did the team need to take during this mission?
Where there is a difference between the cabin flight attendants and the pilots. On the way there was no problem because there were no passengers. But on the way back, the pilots remained all the time on the flight deck or at the rest. We have a room for resting, and we had a curtain that separated us from the passengers. In that case, we could see only on video what the passengers, how they were happy, and everything that was happening with them while boarding, but we were not in touch with them in order not to be isolated after the flight, because if one passenger gets ill, all the flight attendants has to get isolated. Not that so for the pilots.
So are you pleased with the way the operation turned out? Of course, there was no way to prepare for this, knowing this was going to happen. Looking back at it now, of course, there are still more flights to go, as you say. But so far, are you pleased with the way the operation is being handled?
Yeah, usually people say, yeah, it was perfect. But this one, it was perfect. We all four of us, these 4 aircraft, took off, landed on time, took off from there and brought all the people. The planes were full of passengers, and it all worked well. Not without problems that we dealt with on the way there, because we had a new area of operation on the way that I didn't fly. I never flew over Brazil, over French Guinea and Suriname. It was the first time for me, and the weather is a tropical weather. We had to avoid some clouds on the way back, and we had some a phenomenon called ice crystal icing, which caused problem to one of our engines, which was solved by us. So it really was a challenge.
So it sounds like after so many years of experience, there were still special moments during this flight. Was there also something you will treasure that made you happy?
Yeah, I can tell you that I was happy to see the faces and to hear the thanks. But there was one moment after 16 hours of flight where I was in the cockpit and the other captain coordinated with me that he's going to the bathroom. I was by myself over the rainforest of Brazil, and I was transferred by the Brazil radar to the Peruvian one. And then I transmitted, as I do every time, and I called them and I told them, Lima Control, this is El Al 043 Heavy, flight level 380, which means we are here. And I heard the transmission, El Al 043 Heavy, welcome. And at that moment, I realized what was the purpose of our coming and how important and where we are. That was the point where I knew we've done it. We've done it already. We are here in Peru. So that was the moment.
Mr. Garber, it sounds like a very, very special moment. Thank you for being with us tonight and for the work you do and continue to. Thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.